Well, that's wrap it up for the One More Rewrite podcast. I'm Jester. This is Lunchbox.
That's the news, and I am out of here.
Wait, you can't do that. That's somebody else's clothes.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, start over. We'll try it again.
Okay. That's the One More Rewrite podcast. I'm Jester. This is Lunchbox, and
here it is, your moment of zen.
Yeah, that's also... forget it. Let's just reprise the theme song and roll the credits, okay? Alright, coming at you live, well for us, is the One More Rewrite podcast. Sitting here on the big red couch this week, we're going to be covering a little bit of the Wonder Woman movie. Some big news happening there. A lot of trailer drops this week too. We've got the Star Wars trailer dropping, trailer for the When Marnie Was There, which might be the last Studio Ghibli film, and also a trailer that was not supposed to dropped early, and that'd be the Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice trailer. It was actually supposed to have this huge premiere, and that didn't happen. We get rolling along, and I'm going to open things up with a brief recap of the movies that have come out with our new summer here, on how things have done, and how do I say? I'm trying to think of a good pun here for the Fast and the Furious 7, or Furious 7, I should say.
It's Furious 7.
Furious 7.
Because it was Fast 5, but then it was Furious 6. It's the most confusingly titled franchise in history.
And the weirdest trilogy ever.
Yes, I know. Yeah. The most increasingly misnamed trilogy.
Yeah. Well, okay, how about it's rolling right along and it's still cruising in first is the Furious 7 trilogy.
That was bad.
So, okay, sorry. But yeah, as far as the movies that have come out that have opened, there's like True Story, bro. Can't help but say that. The one with James Franco and Jonah Hill. It opened at 11th, and I'm a little surprised because I thought it would at least get in the top 10, but it was that drama.
Well, it only opened in 831 theaters.
Okay.
Well, 831 screens.
831 screens, but that's...
Which, come on, like Godzilla back in 1990 opened in 7,700 screens. I mean, come on, 831 screens is a small opening by today's standards. If you don't hit 1,000 screens, you're not hitting like half of the states in the nation. So, okay, it was a limited release.
Okay.
Definitely. Not as limited as some others, but that's definitely a limited release.
Okay.
So to come in at 11th on an extremely limited, under 1,000 screens, I think you're doing pretty good.
Maybe, but I'm almost feeling like you're trying to make, well, are you going to go see it? It's still...
Well, sure. I definitely, I think it will be fun to see. Well, maybe not fun. Fun may be an exaggeration.
This whole family. Fun for the whole family.
Okay, fun's an exaggeration. I exaggerated with fun. But I think that it would be a good movie, and I think it will probably be, a definitely interesting movie, and I think it'll be definitely an interesting movie. I think it'll be, not fun, but definitely, I think it'll be interesting to see how much of their true story will be actually true, which I don't really want to look up and find out if it actually is a true story.
Bro, yes.
Until after I actually watch the movie. So we'll see how it is.
If it holds on to its 11th place standing, if they feel like they can open it more theaters.
Maybe do a platform. I think. Well, maybe. I mean, 11th is pretty good on under 1,000 screens.
Okay,
So I think they might do platform. They might decide that they have enough. But really, honestly, I don't think. I think they'll keep it small and try and do kind of a small release and hope that they get a bunch of money on the back end. I think that maybe get a word of mouth about, hey, this is a pretty decent movie. And, the reviews around it seems like The reviews are saying it's pretty
like,
good.
As far as I've seen on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 48%, which I'll give it that extra 2% and say there are like a couple of critics out there who are having a bad day, and just say 50-50 that you're gonna like or hate this movie.
Right. Well, I mean, even there, you're not saying
it's a critic.
You're not saying hate.
Sorry.
You're saying not.
Okay, maybe not hate.
You know, they say,
well, that might be 2-star reviews. They're like, it's your average drama.
It's an average movie. You know, whatever. Right. You know, they might not hate it, but they don't love it. So okay.
Well, okay. Then moving into on our next movie that came out, be Monkey Kingdom, sitting there at sixth place. Not even breaking into the top 5, and that's got to have been a bigger release. That's their Disney's nature movie.
I'm sure it was. I'll check it out.
That's what I'm seeing so far, is that it's sitting at 6th place. And that, all the proceeds for the first week that it's open go to some like wildlife conservation thing, and not that that's a bad thing. But
it's definitely not a bad. It can serve wildlife. It's a good thing. I think
it's kind of sad when like you've got this nature movie and it's an animal movie, like we discussed in our previous podcast, that you'd expect it to do a little bit better with families and such. And actually, it's sitting at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that Rotten Tomatoes is the like bar none,
the be all end all. But it is an aggregator, and so you do have kind of the idea of 93% fresh. So sure, it's you get the idea that probably it might be a decent one. It might be as good as Living Desert. No, okay, it's not going to be as good as Living Desert. Nothing's as good as Living Desert.
No, nothing.
Nothing in the world is good. But that's kind of. I think that probably decent movie. Obviously from the reviews, people think it's going to be good. So, or people think it is good.
It is good at this point.
We're
talking about what's happening now. So, well, I don't know how much more there is to say about it sitting where it's sitting. And what's surprising to me is what came in third, which is...
real quick before that, I would say Monkey Kingdom, which was released in limited release.
Okay, it still counts as limited release.
It's still limited release because it was released in 2012 screens.
2002, excuse me, I'm bored by that statistic. 2012?
2012 screens. Which still counts as limited release, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
That still seems like a lot to me.
But per screen average was $770. True Story had $824 per screen average.
$824 per screen average.
Per screen average.
Okay, so every screen, let's say that's $10 a ticket. You're talking, there's 70 people in that theater.
Which is actually a decent-sized theater for a limited release.
I guess.
But what are you going to hold? I mean, what did Theater 5 hold? I mean, that was...
You're talking Theater 5 at a second-run theater. I'm thinking about theaters that typically hold several... Like, over at the theater that I used to work at, it holds in its biggest house almost 500 people.
Well, right, in the biggest house, what did the smallest house hold?
The smallest house still holds...
Wise guy.
At the theater, the first-run theater I used to work at, the smallest house held a little over 100, like 120. So, but we're still talking, like, if you're putting it back corner of the theater, it's packed, but at the same time, it's packed in the small house. I don't know. It is what it is.
That's a decent per-screen average, is what I'm saying.
If you're saying the average is there, that it's decent, then that's that. What's really surprising, I'm going to go on to the next film, which is Unfriended, which is in third, which actually is sitting at 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's surprising to me that it's actually in the positive / fresh range. Granted, in the real world of, grades average, you'd still be talking a D+.
Right.
But, yeah, a horror-ish movie about people dying if they log out of their Facebook account. Yeah.
Right, yeah, stalking people on Facebook.
Okay.
Wait, what's that? A bad thing?
Yeah, that happens in real life. That's not a bad thing.
One of those things that I just do.
It's one of those things that happens.
I haven't tried to stalk people from college. I mean, come on.
Talking to grade school, no. I'm the next level of
You got an extra level of frosting on top.
Yeah. I'm a level 5 wizard Facebook person. I stalk people back from kindergarten. Anyway, sorry.
Oh,
okay.
Hey, yeah, whatever happened to Stephanie from kindergarten?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we digress.
We digress. There's no more need to talk about this film. I don't think you should see it still, despite the fact that it's in third place. May it rest in peace.
Well,
okay,
like
actually,
I said, I think counter-programming, you need a horror movie about now, because teenagers love horror movies, and teenagers love face space, so whatever.
And next weekend it'll be in 9th. Because it'll get all the people who actually be stupid enough to see it this weekend. Speaking of stupid. Stupid.
Don't even hurt me like this. Come on, man.
Paul Blart, Mall Cop 2 comes in second. Second to Furious 7. It comes in second. But that's just fine because it has got 0 big fat zero. Clap your hands together percentage for the aggregator known as Rotten Tomatoes. It's just amazing. So everybody who's seen this movie says it's a stupid movie. I just gotta read off some of our favorites here. Of
your favorites, I thought it was going to be big.
Yeah, my favorite, you're the one who thought it was going to be big.
Yes, that's what I said. I thought it was going to be big.
You were wrong.
Obviously.
Okay. So, nothing aired by WikiLeaks. Okay, this is from Variety magazine. Nothing aired by WikiLeaks could possibly be more destructive to Sony's reputation than the release of Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. The sort of movie that goes beyond mere mediocrity to offer possible evidence of a civilization in decline. And that's my favorite. Lunchboxes is, there was a point where I was considering writing a will because that film made me want to leave this earth. Because I don't want to live on a planet where Paul Blart shills Sony products and airsoft guns. And that's from the blog Consequence of Sound.
Yeah. Which, admittedly, good line. Good line.
It's a good line.
I expected at least we'd get 24% fresh and everybody'd go see it. I expected it to be rotten. Nobody I don't even think the first Paul Blart movie got any love. But
well, no, I didn't expect it to get any love, but I certainly thought, I would say I expected at least 20%, maybe 30% of people. And okay, that's what I expected. But zero.
This is what I walked in expecting. I knew it was going to be stupid, and it was.
Yeah.
And it was fun, and I enjoyed it. And and 0%, I'm almost rethinking my wanting to watch it at 0%. I liked the original one. I thought it was kind of funny.
This is going to be next year's fodder for the Razzie Awards. I'm telling you, it's going to.
Oh yeah, it's definitely.
Anytime you get something that's fodder
at this point, it might even be a big winner. You might get Best Picture,
we are looking
worst picture, worst actor for it. I mean, really, and no, I expected.
You expected.
Okay, I was going to say so much more, but no, I expected slightly more. I expected just slightly more, not a lot. I expect I get you 24% fresh. That's not even 1/4 of the people that reviewed it liked it.
Yeah, that's people saying and I would like to believe that there are some reviewers. Let's say even half the reviewers who watched it went in with a fairly, and I hate using this phrase, open mind about what they were going to watch and say, okay, I'm going to take it in.
I'm going to accept it on its level. I know it's Paul Blart 2, but I'm going to accept it. I'm going to take it for what it is. I'm not going to have any prejudgment of it. And I like to believe that critics would do that, although I know that it's not always possible.
The case.
And definitely not always the case. But, I like to believe that they're at least open to mind to believe that maybe the second one would be good, or maybe even better than the first one. It happens occasionally.
The successor, this is not.
No, apparently not, and apparently gonna tank big time. Hey, I'm surprised it got second, seriously, with those reviews. I expected it to be, Furious 7 is in its third week. I expected it to get second, and it just, I don't even think it came close.
Yeah, no, it's what is it? I think it's from Box Office Mojo is showing it at sitting at, it's gonna hit below 20 million for the weekend, and I think I say it Furious 7 is basically going to double the money that it would have made in its entire... Anyway.
Right, yeah, and just looking at Friday, Furious 7 made $1 million more than Bob Blart.
Yeah, I was going to say, it made $1 million more on Friday of its opening. Yeah, I'm betting this movie does not end the weekend with over 20 million, and that Fast and the Furious... I wouldn't be surprised if it hits 30 million again or something. Well, maybe not 30 million, but close to 30 million again.
Close to 30 again. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they were 8.3 for Friday. So, yeah, you're probably talking about a pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's my mea culpa for the week.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, my bad.
But, yeah, sometimes things tank.
Yeah, and not always the ones you expect.
Right. We're going to move on to some movie news that's hit that is worth talking about here. It's one of the bigger news stories to cross the wire would be Michelle McLaren, if I'm reading that name right. My apologies if I'm not. Who is the director for Wonder Woman, walked off the set. Well, maybe walked off the set is a bit of an embellishment, but let's just say that she left the film.
She quit.
And it's always a bad sign when the director quits. It's what's made us leery about the Ant-Man trailer, or not trailer, Ant-Man coming out since Edgar Wright's gone.
They got rid of Edgar Wright. I mean, come on.
But Edgar Wright, I believe, Edgar Wright left because he didn't like the way
he didn't like the direction that they were going.
That they were trying to go. So I haven't heard too much more.
Jane Got a Gun, where the director left on the first day of filming. You're like, really? Walked out first day of filming?
No.
Okay, apparently this is not going to go well for anybody.
Yeah, really.
But I'm not sure. I don't know if you've read more about this other than, I heard Wonder Woman director walks out. That's about all I got.
That's all I've heard. I've been looking into the trades and looking around to hear if there's more info. It's just wide speculation past that, which this is more of, but truly it can boil down to this. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman always seemed like a misfire to me at the first place. Like, seeing the promo shots, they've got this dirty, grainy image of her as Wonder Woman. It just
we're doing an edgy.
We're doing edgy again. Gosh, for the umpteenth time. And it's just like, how do I put it?
It can work. You can work.
It can work, but here's the thing that really gets me is that, okay, so the director walks off for whatever reason. We don't know.
Right.
And you've got images and promo stuff coming out for Wonder Woman that looks edgy.
Yeah.
And it bothers me because whereas Marvel Comics, we're going to do our little quick Marvel versus DCU thing here. Marvel Comics has always had that, we're a little bit more realistic, or we have real situations going on with people. And
we've got angst.
And the DCU, they're, for all the world, they are the father of comics. So
they pretty much invented it.
They pretty much invented comics.
Superman,
Superman. You cannot beat Superman. That's both personal opinion and just like he is.
And just fact.
That's fact. It's Superman. But the other thing is whereas Marvel has always had that kind of element of realism-ish on the relationship level of what their people are doing, the DCU, with Superman, Batman, and everything, has been very, I'll call it kind of Greek god / mythical quality, where you have these larger-than-life characters, and, I'll say this, upbeat. This general, positive... I mean, you can't...
Truth, justice, and the American way, and all that. Yeah.
Truth, justice, the American way, like Boy Scout Superman. And yes, Batman is kind of dark, but as you had pointed out in the past, Bob Kane, the original, kind of liked the Adam West version.
That was his favorite version, was the Adam West version.
That was his favorite version. But, you have... In Wonder Woman, I always remember... Maybe it's just because my own memories of... gosh, I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Linda Carter.
Thank you. Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. But that was always kind of upbeat and joyous and a smile
definitely.
And happiness going on here.
And definitely, this symbol of female empowerment. Really. That kind of always has been, even though...
But an upbeat...
you have to tie her up to remove her powers, which is always a little bondagey for me. But
at least she's she represents something in a more upbeat fashion.
Right.
She's not like some angsty or... I don't know, 10th wave feminist, all men must die kind of
Well, she kind of was that back on the original island.
On the island, but that's why she
Paradise Island.
In Paradise
she really
Island, that's
was.
why she gets kicked out, though, because she's not like the rest of them.
Right, because she falls in love with.
You're blanking.
Doggone it, I'm blanking. Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers. I thought he was. Oh no, yeah, it's a different thing. The Rogers name just kinda confused me for a second. But yeah, anyway, like she's a positive, upbeat person.
Yeah,
so
definitely positive female role model. I mean, there've been a couple of movies made about how, like, the female empowerment kind of works for that.
I'm not talking about the female empowerment thing. I'm just talking about the character of Wonder Woman, like. And also, well, say what you will about, like, Aquaman. Okay, yeah, he talks to fish, but you know these images of him that are
go talk to some fish.
Upbeat, yeah, upbeat and fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the heck is in charge.
And you say upbeat and fun, and then you cast aspersions on Batman versus Robin, or Batman versus whatever it was.
Well, no, Batman versus Robin is universally hated because it's just a misfire all across the board.
Or whatever. What was Batman Forever, and then Batman
Forever wasn't terrible. It was definitely a tonal shift in the first ones.
Batman versus the Punster, or whatever the one with Arnie was.
No, yeah. Well, Arnie looked like he was so jazzed just to be like, I'm in the movie, look at this.
I'm the Iceman.
I'm the Iceman. Yeah,
but then you cast aspersions on
the
goofy, campy versions of it, and then everybody praises Batman Begins, where it's dark and gritty again.
Batman can be dark and gritty. You have other characters that should not be dark and gritty. The problem is I'm seeing that whoever's in charge of the DCU translation to film, and I'm not talking about the Nolan movies. The Nolan movies don't exist in the Justice League thing that they're doing, okay?
Right, okay. So
that's like, let's just say a different kind of universe.
It's outside of the canon.
It's outside of the canon. It's like, we're just saying, this is a different interpretation. Everything that happens with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman from here on out is another version. The thing is, I would almost argue that there's a certain upbeatness even in the Chris Nolan movies. Maybe not upbeatness, but melancholy. He never goes like full.
Have you seen the animated Wonder Woman? Oh, no. You definitely should. That is so dark. There's blood running in the rivers. Like they rated the animated one PG-13 because they chopped off people's heads and the blood ran in the rivers. I mean, it is really... there's parts of that are dark.
I admit that we have a lot of films in my own home that are a lot darker. However, they still stand brighter in contrast to what they're doing, and to the villains that they're facing. And the whole tone doesn't... Let me start from scratch here.
You don't know what the tone is yet. You've just seen the pictures.
I've seen the pictures, and I see the way they're going with it from what it seems, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it seems joyless. That's the thing. It's like, when I see a superhero movie, even to a degree if it's an anti-hero kind of movie, like, oh shoot, what was it? Not just, I forget, The Losers or whatever it was that came out.
The Losers, yeah. Which was actually pretty good.
It wasn't the best, but at least they seemed like they were
enjoyable. Certainly,
they were enjoying. See, there we go, enjoying what they were doing.
I would never claim it's a great movie, but it's definitely an enjoyable film to watch.
It looks like the people are enjoying what they're doing. They're taking down whatever, and they're doing their thing. And I don't know. I guess I'm tired of what feels like forced joylessness and quote unquote grittiness. It's like whoever's in charge of doing the DC Universe films, because they don't want to try to show something, because they're worried about having interactions between Lois and Clark that seem genuine, or having some kind of real worldish struggles or whatever. They can't. They're substituting or compensating for like deeper struggles by making it so everything is bleak, dark, joyless, and somewhat quote unquote edgy.
Well, maybe that's why the director left, is because they kept trying to make it more campy, and she wanted to make it edgy.
I don't know. It's just, but that, again...
I agree with a certain amount of camp. I can get behind that. And maybe the director wasn't down with them making it more joyful, and that's why she left. We don't know. We don't even know what the plot is at this point. I think you're reading way too much. I think you're fearing far too hard.
I guess between
about this movie, and yes,
the pro wrestler shots of Aquaman, them making Superman be a little bit grimmer, more grimmer, grimmier. The shots of Wonder Woman, I almost wish she was like more buff too for some reason.
Right?
She looks too.
They really should have cast it about 20 years ago and had Catherine Zeta-Jones do it.
Yeah, actually,
I think Catherine Zeta-Jones. Catherine Zeta-Jones, and if she worked out,
mixture of
worked out a bit,
and
she works out a bit so that she gets some musculature, and she's tall and got that Amazon kind of look to her.
Like the striking hard features, but not the kind of guyish hard features.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't cast China, but you cast someone that's got like kind of a femininity, but kind of get her bulked up, and I think that if you did it 20 years ago, you could have cast Catherine Zeta-Jones. Not that I'm disagreeing with Gal Gadot's choice. I think that she's looks okay for the part, but I think that you need to play it right at that point. And maybe the director just didn't agree with them not playing it right. Maybe the director was right. Maybe the producers are right. I agree. Yes, okay, fine. Producers are right a far smaller amount of the time than the directors are right.
Yeah.
But, okay.
We'll never know at this point.
Yeah. Well, we may get...
story
story 5 years later about what actually happened on the set.
Well, yeah, we didn't hear about what happened on the set of Spider-Man 3 and why it was such a weird cluster, until like this past year where Sam Raimi said, basically they were trying to force a whole bunch of different angles in that I didn't want in, which is why like you have some really cool stuff with Sandman. It looks deep. It looks like the tone of the other stuff, and then you have other things with Venom that are just...
You have Spider-Man as Danny Terrio.
Really. It just... Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with it.
We'll see what happens. Maybe one day we'll know why she walked off the set.
Yeah. There is some trailer that is joyful that has come out, and some stuff that's in the news that is joyful that I do want to talk about. That's the new Star Wars trailer is dropped. As a few moments of Chewie and Han Solo, and I'm getting hyped up again for the first time in a long time over a Star Wars movie. And boy, I just hope it doesn't suck. Because I was hyped up before, and I was so wanting and tears.
It's the movie we wanted. We were excited for the prequels just because it was more Star Wars. And we wanted more Star Wars. And that's what we've always wanted, was more Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so, we didn't want the prequels. Granted, that wasn't, we wanted the sequels, and George Lucas gave up. He said, yeah, fine, do whatever you want after the original trilogy, and you can write all the stories of everything that happens after the trilogy. You just can't write anything that happens before the trilogy.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to write that, and he wanted to do the prequels, which I don't for the life of me understand why he would want to do the prequels, because that's the least interesting part of the story. We all want to know what happens next. Yeah. We don't really care how Darth Vader became Darth Vader.
That's... Really. I mean, just a few lines in the original New Hope kind of sum up with, okay, he was a friend, he was seduced. You don't really need...
Seduced by the dark side.
You don't need, 3 side prequel stories about how that came to be. You just need to know he was a nice guy at first, and then he was seduced, and that's it.
Right. Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
And then we can continue the story from there. And I think that's probably why, because he had the full story laid out originally, and then he cut it out and said, okay, this is the most interesting part of the story. This is the part I'm going to actually put on film.
So what, then he decided, I'm going to film the boring stuff now. But
yeah, exactly. And that's what it seems like he did.
Okay, let's stop backtracking. Let's get to the awesome stuff, which is more Chewie, more Solo, more, Star Destroyers crashed into the desert.
Admittedly, I did think, I'm like, ooh, Star Destroyers.
Yeah, X-Wing zooming over, a lake or something. It just looks awesome.
It does.
And yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's finally we're getting the movie we wanted to see. it's been a decade now since like the last of the
since the last ones.
Since the last ones, and so now we're finally getting what we wanted to see. And I know people are like, I didn't want to see an old Han Solo. Screw you, he's Han Solo still. Okay.
He's still Han Solo.
He still gets to be Han Solo. You get to be the guy making the same stupid haha he's old jokes that everyone and their mother has made. It looks good. It looks awesome. It looks well directed. It looks like a different, I don't know. It just looks like everything we wanted before with the prequels.
38 years after the original came out?
Yeah.
That it's gone on this long, that had this much of a following. I mean, like, I'm sure that most people don't even have a conceptualization of what it was like to first be sitting in that theater and you had never seen anything like this before. And to be sitting in that theater and the Star Destroyer comes over your head at the beginning of New Hope, which we called Star Wars for the longest time. but it comes over your head at the beginning of New Hope, over your head, and you just kind of like, wow, I am in for such an adventure right now. This is going to be so great. And, and going to the theater and seeing it and remembering, like, sitting in the theater and watching the movies and loving every second of it.
And loving it. Sorry.
And loving it. Yes, I so cannot wait. I think it's really, that Star Destroyer into the sand, it's just really, such a setup that you're like, wow, I can't wait to see what happens.
You've got these Star Destroyers, you've got like remnants of the Empire, and you've got like these sweeping shots of like a redesigned Stormtrooper suit that looks cool and doesn't look cheesy, and they look like real people rather than CG.
Yeah.
Whatever, which I'm sure some of them are real people and some of them are CG,
right.
But that just also shows how much polish there is in these things.
Right, and how far we've come.
From it looking like a video game to actually like we've got like a whole legion of stormtroopers.
We actually have the ability to make it look like there is that now. I mean, and really, it looks really good.
It does.
Unlike some of the other trailers for big effects movies that we've seen lately, it actually looks really polished from just the scenes that we've seen.
Yeah.
And looks like they really put the effort into making the scenes in the trailer look as good as they possibly could.
Yeah.
Which some other ones, Jurassic World, haven't lately. They're like, yeah, we'll show you, this effect, and we haven't finished fixing it, but you'll think that
we'll fix it in post.
But you'll think that the idea of it is cool enough that you'll kind of dismiss that we're not done with it yet. And they really seem to have gotten like, yeah, we're going to make this look as awesome. And man, I would post that picture of the Star Destroyer crashed into the sand. I would put that up on my wall in a giant big frame because that is just gorgeous. And I think that it
it's almost a new iconic for like a new set of movies, like as much as that first flyover is. And if you sit there, I bet you won't be able to think of some kind of iconic scene for the entirety of the prequel trilogy.
No,
it really
grabs you. There's not something like that. There's really not a really thing that really just shows you, wow, this is something new.
Yeah. Despite all the glitz and the glamour and like, ooh, we have... How does it go? Like that there's a clip like it's so dense. There's so much stuff on the screen. And it's like, who cares? It's not about cluttering up the frame with a whole bunch of garbage. It's about what popped out and made you say, oh, wow. And
like, wow, that is really iconic. I mean, that's really something. And it really, I think, tells you this is a new story of a new time. And I just love that. And that they opened the trailer with that. It was just,
that is brilliant trailer editing. Let's hope that that doesn't end up being a trailer was better than the movie. But even if it is, it's still one heck of a trailer.
It's a heck of a trailer.
That's gotten me sold so well.
Yep, definitely sold.
It's nice to see that Harrison Ford can still pull off that Han Solo smirk so well that makes you say, yes!
Go get him! Go get him, Han! Go get him!
She's like, just do your thing. Yes, I'm ready. I am hyped. And I'm hoping I'm not fanboy geeking out too much. Just
I don't know. But, well, I may be the one here to geek out too much because I saw all of the original ones in the theater, so I may be the one that's geeking out too much. But I think that definitely looks like gonna be great.
Yeah. Okay, a little bit more trailer news for this week would be that a trailer was dropped for a movie called When Marnie. Marnie, that's Marnie if you want to look it up. When Marnie was there. It seems to be a ghost film of some sort. Looks to have a bit of fantasy and such, but most importantly of note, it's a Studio Ghibli film, dubbed and moved over here by Disney. It looks a little bit more fantasy elements than The Wind Rises, and it actually is something that comes out in May that when we were doing our movie specials for May, we did not know that was coming out. I didn't know it was coming out for sure.
Yeah, I definitely know.
And I honestly don't know how this one's going to do, because it's, how do I say it? It's not one of your traditional animated films that you'd see loads of advertising for, and I'm assuming it's going to be a limited release.
Well, yeah, definitely.
I typically love everything that Studio Ghibli puts out. Ghibli? But...
Sure it's not a hard G? Ghibli?
Ghibli. I've heard it both Ghibli and Ghibli.
I've heard it both ways.
So, take your choice. Pick, whatever. Just as of note, this could be the last Studio Ghibli film. Ghibli, whatever. Last year, as many of us who follow the studio know, they had an announcement of sadness here that Miyazaki, basically the brains of Studio Ghibli, was retiring. And about a month or two after it, no, it was in August, he announced he was retiring, and sometime in September, the head of the studio, the head producer, said that they're restructuring and they weren't sure when they were going to get out of the restructure hiatus status. And then that same year, later in November, Miyazaki basically went on record saying it wasn't his intention. He announced he was retiring, that he wasn't going to be making any more movies, but he didn't think that that meant that Studio Ghibli was going to just stop being there.
Right.
So this could be the last Studio Ghibli film. I mean, I'm not trying to overhype it, like, this could be it, but you don't know, because I don't know what the culture is like out there. It could be that they see him as the big figure, and, like, why bother going on?
Right.
Our brain has left.
Well, yeah, and, well...
I mean, they have a son who's making films, and in fact, I think that this When Marnie was there, it's not done by Hayao Miyazaki, but it's done by his son, Goro, so...
Well, you know, and I gotta say, I don't get it. Like, really, you know, for me, I love the movies. I think they're beautifully done.
Yeah.
But I really just don't understand anything that's going on. Like, really, for most anime, I really just don't understand what's going on. Nothing is explained well enough for me to understand why the kid turned into a pig. And then... you know, my wife tries to explain to me, well, no, because it's about the greed or whatever. I'm like,
no, it was his
parents. Well, yeah, but they didn't, like, explain anything about that. They just expected me to know that. And don't expect me to know that. At least give me a half, you know, hearted reason why something is happening. Like, I really don't care what your reason is, but if you're going to turn somebody into a pig, give me a reason why. And they don't explain enough of that for me, and I don't know enough of the Japanese culture to know why somebody's getting turned into a pig. So it really doesn't make sense to me. I have enjoyed a few of the anime shows that I've watched. For the most part, not so much. What's the vampire one with Dracula, the Alucard one?
I don't know, but you can't be talking Vampire Hunter D. That's like...
No, is it Vampire Hunter D?
Well, it's not really a TV series. Vampire Hunter D is like two movies. There's like the original, and then there's Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, both of which are actually pretty well done and just phenomenal films in themselves. But I can see where you're coming from, because
there's been a few of those. Like, I've watched a few of the... No, I watched both the Vampire Hunter Ds. That's a different show. No, it's... what the heck was the name of that show? Alucard. They made like two different versions of it, which is basically the same story. That one was good. I really enjoyed that one because they actually explained everything that's going on. It was a totally self-contained story. but but some of, like, most of the time, I don't understand enough about what's going on. I don't understand the culture enough, so I don't get it. Even Miyazaki's stuff, like, I'm just kind of bewildered most of the time by it. But knowing that little bit that I do know about it, about, like, kind of the structure of how things go in movies in general, and in the Asian cultures, is basically to keep it going till the wheels fall off.
Or the hovercraft runs over that. No, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You just keep it going, and I think they're going to keep it going. They're going to keep making movies, and this one, even, like, watching what I did of it, it looks like a pretty movie, and
they make beautiful films. Like, even when you don't understand what's going on, or if it's just like kids wander around and meet a giant cat creature and.
Yeah, like
My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is Totoro makes no sense at all.
Well, it doesn't have a plot. It's just like they have whimsical encounters that aren't even like vignettes or one-act plays. It's just sort of like, oh, they keep meeting this happy-go-lucky kind of odd creature, and then just happy things happen, and their mom's in a hospital recovering from something, and that's about it.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. But it's well done. I mean,
it's well done. It's beautiful. Let's watch the cat bus jump along the hills for a while. It looks pretty. I don't know. There's no point to it other than we wanted to shove kids into a cat bus, and this came from this one guy's imagination of wouldn't it be neat to have a big fuzzy bus?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of the level that I approach it at, of like, well, yeah, it looks nice.
It looks pretty, and
I can't get behind, like, I don't get enough storyline and stuff in most of those, or don't understand the story enough. I mean, that may be, and probably is, approaching it from my own ignorance of that. I don't understand. Yes, like I just don't understand enough of it to get it clearly, because because I've had people try to explain it to me.
Yeah,
that
I was going to say this
isn't
the time or the place to have like an in-depth discussion about like what makes anime and why fans of it like myself enjoy it, and it's not just, I think, an appreciation of like the Japanese culture and way it's depicted. I think the best way to just talk about Ghibli films, mostly, like, there's some that do have plots and such, is just like they're beautiful, and it's like watching it's some animation beauty there that Pixar appreciates. It's like watching a painting. Like they have landscapes and character movement and backdrops, and I could prattle on about this forever, but I won't. It's I don't know, without sounding cliche here, it's a feast for the eyes, whatever they produce. Even when they produce something that feels a little bit on the slow side. Like, I enjoyed The Wind Rises, which was Miyazaki's last film that he's going to do, but it was a little slow for me. Yeah, even with knowing that it was just basically a little snippet of this guy's life who designed aircrafts during World War II, and I thought he did a great job of not even really talking about World War II. It was just this guy had a huge desire to build planes because he always wanted to be a pilot, and the movie kind of goes on and just has beautiful landscape sweeping shots and can be a bit slow. And I don't know when Marnie was there, the trailer that we are digressing far from.
We totally digress.
I don't know what it's about. It looks pretty. I hope that in its limited release it does well, and I hope that it's playing near me and near you, because even though I don't see it as something that will make a whole lot of money in theaters, it'll probably make more money in video, that I'll just say Studio Ghibli films have never disappointed. Even if they're a bit slow or like it's
a bit obscure.
A bit slow or obscure, it never leaves me feeling like, why did I ever watch this?
Right. Right, yeah, even after watching ones that I didn't quite get, I'm like, wow, that was a pretty cool show.
Like, that was pleasant. You feel like, even if you don't understand, like, I feel somewhat upbeat after that. That's
I really appreciate Miyazaki's work, even though I don't get it.
Okay, some of them have direct plots. You've got Castle in the Sky, Howl's Moving Castle, which was actually based off of a book, and there's like a third one I was going to mention I'm kind of blanking on.
What's the delivery?
Kiki's Delivery Service. She goes out, establishes herself and such, but like not all of them have like clear-cut kind of plots like that.
Yeah.
where it's just like, okay, beginning, middle, end. Most of
Yeah.
them are just sort of like, well, that was pleasant. What happened? Well, you see, and there was a cat bus. I got that cat bus. Yes.
Yeah, I saw the cat bus. Yeah.
And
but why?
Wait, you're digressing from the point. Dust bunnies. Yes. Why? It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, a little obtuse for me, but I do always enjoy Miyazaki's work. It's always very well done, and so I think that if they continue in the vein of Miyazaki, I think they'll probably continue doing well.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about a trailer that dropped this week that wasn't supposed to drop this week. That was supposed to drop on the 20th. And that is the release of the Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice trailer. And it's released early instead of having this cool kind of rollout with special limited release in theaters and such, because some jerk with a phone recorded it and dropped it on YouTube or wherever else he dropped it, and kind of ruined this big release thing. And it's not just like, we've watched the trailer, we could talk about the trailer too, but I also want to talk about how frustrating it is that here we are, according to my watch, it's 2015, and we still have people out there who have some sort of, like, look what I got, and they're posting stuff up online that, like this bootleg, uber bootleg version.
Right.
No matter what studios do to try to prevent these things, whether they're putting in things in film, when it was still film, to kind of screw up people who, for some stupid reason, think it's a great idea to film these movies directly off of the projected screen, and yet there's even people out there who are stupid enough to go buy them. You know?
Yeah. Well,
I just don't get that. Like, why would you ever want to watch something that's been bootlegged off of a screen that's like the absolute crappiest quality possible, that's not even close to what you're wanting experience-wise? I mean, maybe you can use the excuse of, well, I'm not being distracted by the grandeur of the screen or something, but you're not even seeing it close to how anybody intended it. It's like...
Right. And you know, and that's, well, one of my things is like, well, shouldn't you just want to watch it the way that it should be shown?
Yeah.
Like, and like little shaky cam video of whatever is showing on screen, like,
that might have glare flashes where you can't see what's happening half the time, or kind of muffled audio.
Right, you're not experiencing the way that it's meant to be experienced. Like, even if you watch the actual trailer on your cell phone, at least you're seeing the actual trailer and not shaky cam video of the trailer.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. I think maybe it's just the I don't have to pay my $10 to watch it at the theater.
Yeah, but we've got YouTube, so you still don't have to pay your $10. And if you don't have internet, or you don't have like connection at your house, you can go to like a McDonald's and use the Wi-Fi there. Or, you know, there's no excuse to be doing this kind of garbage in this day and age.
Well, and there's no reason. Well, okay, so from both sides. Okay, so there's the guy who wants to be the first to break it, because then you're going to get 1 billion views on YouTube, right? Because you're going to be the first person to show
you
this.
And Warner Brothers are going to sue your funny fanny for being an idiot and trying to like, co-opt their stuff.
Right, but you've still got 1 billion views on YouTube, and so you make me make a little coin out of 1 billion views on YouTube by stealing somebody else's stuff.
Which you think would be possible after all they do to, like, they have their anti-piracy flagging software, but it still doesn't help at times.
Right, and, you know, a shaky cam video of whatever isn't even close enough to the actual thing for it to get flagged. Like, it doesn't even approach the level of it being the actual thing. So it doesn't even matter that there's, you know, a video, shaky cam video of the new Batman Superman trailer that got leaked because somebody shot it with their iPhone, because it's always iPhones, because only idiots would do that. But you get that iPhone shaky cam, can't hear anything video that gets posted, and the only one of those that I ever watched, because it was 2 weeks later and Disney still hadn't put out the video for Star Wars. It's put out the trailer for Star Wars, and I'm like, okay, well, but I really want to watch the Tron video. Like, I want to watch this. Like, I've been waiting for years for the new Tron movie to come out, and like they previewed at Comic-Con and didn't release the video afterwards, and like, fine, I'm watching this, and I couldn't see anything in it, couldn't hear anything in it, and all I saw was like, half,
Yeah.
somebody who's clearly not a professional cameraman trying to film a screen that's 300 yards away.
Some drunk guy with Tourette's holding up his iPhone. Look, it's drawn. And then you hear, the only thing that you hear or see are like fans standing up and cheering and crowd noise.
Right. Yeah. You get nothing. I mean, like, you get nothing out of watching that video, and the studio is losing everything. Like, why do you not just, okay, fine, you put it out that day, like select screening, and then 2 days later, well, it was a day later, that they put out the actual trailer.
Well, no, the trailer popped up online yesterday, but it wasn't supposed to be up online because they had this special event scheduled for the 20th, where they were going to show it in theaters, like special ticketed event.
Yeah.
And have like follow-up commentary. I'll have to look into it, but I don't know if that's happening anymore because somebody spoiled it. They're gonna have like commentary from like, I don't know if it was the cast or directors or whatever, but they were going to have people like talking about it and such afterwards. And for all I know, those have been canceled. And I guess that's where I'm coming from on it.
And it's like how much of a jerk do you have to be to just post it online just so you can be the first in the YouTube comments to comment first?
Yeah, like,
can we get over this? Like, first, like, I posted it first.
Like,
I'm awesome.
That, like, yeah, really. Like, again, and here we are, like 2015, and there's still people taking the joy out of, haha, I got first comment. Like,
yeah.
Seriously. Like go get a life, go hiking, go outdoors, do something. Don't ruin movies or special events for the rest of us because you have an iPhone and you think, woohoo, I can film it and show it to the world before everybody else.
Right, but you're really not.
You're not.
You're just showing crowd noise and some shaky cam thing that you don't know how to film.
Yeah.
How about you all just shut up and go away so that we can have movies the way that and it feels weird saying the way that the studios intended to have them released. But there are these things that are like big events, things that you kind of want to still have that big event thing.
Yeah, I still want those big event things, those big event moments.
You want to have that moment where, like the first time, like even, the prequels aside, the way they turned out, when I first put that trailer onto a movie, I was so excited, sitting up in the projection booth, just staring out the window, my face pressed against the glass, watching the first time that trailer was playing in my theater.
Yeah.
Like, even that of like, it only goes for these specific movies. You're only allowed to show it.
That was for the, because they knew it was going to tank. It was for the Wing Commander trailer.
In front of Wing Commander. Yes, exactly. It's like,
with specific instructions that people were not allowed to get refunds after the trailers were done, because the Star Wars Episode 1 trailer was the absolute last trailer before the movie itself was supposed to start. And there was actually instructions that people couldn't get, at least at my theater, where people couldn't get refunds for having just come in, okay, because I know the movie's going to suck, I'm just going to watch the trailers, then go demand a refund.
It did suck.
It did suck. Those movies I got paid to see.
It was pretty...
but yeah,
it was what it was. Anyhow.
We digress, but the way it was meant to be seen, on the big screen, this big event showing, whether it's the movie itself or a trailer itself...
even the trailer,
the trailers.
That moment when you get to see that trailer that you haven't seen before, that you even if you bought a ticket to see Wing Commander just so that you could see the Star Wars trailer, that moment where you're sitting there and it's the Star Wars trailer, you get that breathless moment of being able to watch it for the first time there and knowing that you're there opening night, you're one of the first people that's going to get to see this.
Oh yeah,
there's that excitement, and I remember the excitement that I not even knowing that the trailer was on it, going to see Space Jam. And they had the trailer for the re-release of the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
And, like, for years, you've only been able to watch it like this. And now you can see it like whoosh.
Yeah, and then the X-Wing goes whoosh out thing. You're all...
through. And I was really close to weeping. I'm like, wow, I can't believe this. I'm actually going to get to... And, like, I didn't know it was going to be there. And I saw that, and I'm like, oh, no. No, they're not going to say. They're not going to say.
Wipes tears.
I think I'm actually going to start crying now just from the memory of it. It was just so exciting to me. And that we cannot have that anymore because of jerks with iPhones.
Because jerks with iPhones. Because you can't have that. And I think part of it is because projectors have gone digital too and such. And you don't have the same kind of trailer drop where you're sitting there as a projectionist in a booth and you get your shipment of trailers in for the week and you see the schedule and you're like, oh my gosh, that little annotation there says LOTR. That's the Lord of the Rings trailer.
Yeah.
Holy, and you're getting that joy, the chills and whatnot. Yeah. But it's sad because it's just indicative that even now we're still dealing with people who want to be first.
Yeah.
And that kind of joy you get from enjoying a trailer on the big screen, surround sound, breathtaking in its scope and vision, and
we're losing it
because we're losing it
because of YouTube commenters.
Because of YouTube comments.
Because we really got to get rid of that.
Not that I don't like YouTube. I love the YouTubes, but people who want to have like that first kind of like, I'm here, I got here first.
Yeah, it's first.
It's
from
first.
Like 20 years ago.
It's
that first comment. That the first comment is first. Okay, you know what? Go take a flying leap at a rolling donut.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an idiot, and I want to punch you in the face. Like, the first, whatever, we're over it. Let it play out the way that it's supposed to play out. Now, granted, the studios might be able to do something, like to try to keep that down, but I don't think that you could keep it all the way out.
No, it's like that, like, who was it? Like, perfect example, Barbara Streisand. She got so pissy about
the Streisand effect.
The Streisand effect. She got upset because people showed her multi-million-dollar home after, like, whatever rant she had gone on and said, I don't want these pictures everywhere. And next thing you know, they're everywhere.
Then they're everywhere. Right.
Which is why the studio had to release this trailer because...
Right. It's the more you tell people, don't watch that, the more people are going to. But I think that if we all collectively just realize that the guy who shouts first just needs to get a big thumbs down and rate it off the message board, like, you're an idiot, go away. I think if we all just stop paying attention to the guy who yells first, then maybe we'll make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Maybe. I live in hope.
I live in hope, too.
Like, I think that people are smart enough to say, hey, you know what? Hey, first guy, you're a...
Jerk. Yeah.
Jerk. Jerk.
Or something stronger.
Let's go with jerk.
First.
Yeah, you're first. You're the first jerk.
Moving on to actual talk of the trailer itself for Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, there's a couple of things of note in this trailer I want to say, which is we've got more of this dark grittiness, which is, in this case, might be okay because it's Batman.
Because you got Batman.
Because you've got Batman. Because of Batman. It's like, because J.K. Simmons, because Batman. Okay, first off, I'm going to put this out there that Ben Affleck, not as terrible as I thought I was going to be in the Batsuit. And they did some kind of modulation, synthesized thing to his voice. And I don't think that's just because people didn't want more of the Christian Bale kind of why is he doing this kind of thing.
Right, because he was. But I think that in the trailer, it definitely works well there. but also he seems to have like a
it's like
the
armor.
cowl.
It's like bat armor.
Yeah, bat armor, but the cowl comes down over his chin.
Yeah.
And it seems to cover part of his throat, so I think that part of the modulation might be coming from the actual bat suit.
Yeah, it is. I think that's what it is.
Because it kind of sounds like from the trailer.
Yeah.
So I think that if the suit is doing it, then I'm kind of cool with that. Like, I'm kind of annoyed by, like, just, I'm changing my voice.
Yeah,
a little annoying. But if I built this special cowl that disguises my voice, then I'm cool with that. I get it. Okay,
yeah,
so you don't want people to know who you are, but just me saying, you don't know who I am. I am somebody else. Doesn't really work. I'm Batman. You know, that's annoying.
And the thing is, this Michael Keaton never needed to do that. He talked a little lower, but not to the point of ridiculousness. And the only person I've ever heard who has done a very successful sort of voice swap would be... Who is it?
No.
No? Fine.
No.
Can't name his name right off the top of the bat. The guy who did the animated series.
Oh, God. I know this, too. No, I don't remember his name.
Fine. Whatever. No cookie for you.
What's his name?
Well, you made me forget. Kevin something. No. You made me forget. You really did. You know. Oh, fine. We'll plop that in later. But to get on to the trailer, it's
yeah, just pop it a little up on screen.
Yeah. Apologies, but Lunchbox here had like a brain fart.
Apologies to Kevin.
Yeah.
Or whoever it is.
Kevin. You ever have those moments somebody says it wrong, you're like, no, that's not it, and then your mind totally gets sucked dry because you're like, no. Anyway, it works for me because his voice is modulated by some sort of thing in the bat suit. On top of that, it's not his eyes.
Or seems to be. We don't know that for sure yet. But kind of based on luck.
Well, we are for sure though. They've whitened out his eyes with what looks like some sort of glowy effect thing that's supposed to be light, which works for me too, because that could be just it's supposed to be night vision or something to help him.
Right.
That works too, because that makes it look more comic booky.
Yeah.
It looks kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's like that he's actually bulked up for the role, or if it's the suit's partially bulked up to make Batman look more buff.
Right.
Either way, I'm gonna go on a limb and say, okay, maybe it's possible that Ben Affleck could pull this off, and with the proper amount of padding and voice hiding. But
he's got a strong chin. That's all Batman requires.
Yeah, no.
Well, Val Kilmer did an okay job, and he's got a strong chin. Well, okay, so he was better as Bruce Wayne.
No.
Michael Keaton
Michael Keaton was awesome all around. He did.
Yeah, he was probably the best all around job.
Yeah.
No, it's Clooney. Clooney was better as Batman than he was as Bruce Wayne.
Really?
More believable as Batman.
I've never seen the Batman and Robin movie except for snippets here and there, because from what I could see when I worked at the theater, I was just like, I can't watch this. I will forever. It's kind of like the same with, how you're never supposed to watch Random Hearts.
Yeah,
it's just like, I watch this, it's going to forever change my perception of the Batverse, and such. I won't be able to erase it.
Well, see, that's you came around later than I did. I actually watched it opening night at the Big Newport.
Oh.
Raced in so that I could be one of the first people in there. I got my favorite seats, and I was like right in the middle, just to the left. Got great seats. Totally looking forward to it.
So you got front row tickets to the end of the Bat franchise.
Yeah, I did. And walking out of there, we're all walking out with all of my friends going, wow. Wow. Yeah. How bad was that?
Yeah, it basically killed comic book movies for for almost a decade. Well, not a decade, but for at least 3 to 4 years, they were dead in the water.
Yeah, you couldn't get a comic book movie made after that.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, no, comic book movies are dead. Nobody's going to go see them. Yeah. Like, no, nobody's going to go see Batman and Robin. Okay? Like, we don't want nipples on the bat suit. Thank you very much, Mr. Schumacher.
Yeah. As we digress back to the actual Batman and Superman trailer, it's dark, it's gritty looking. Batman works as being dark and gritty. You've got these kind of odd shots of what looks like people kneeling before Superman. They actually might have Superman patches like the S on their arm sleeve, some sort of military thing, and you've got this build up on the trailer with like voiceovers of like, who is this guy? What if he changes? What if this? And sort of those questions.
Like, we can't trust the aliens.
We can't trust the aliens, which you always get, not always, but you get in, I guess you would say, more modern iterations of the Superman verse.
Right.
Of like, do we trust the alien or not? He's super powerful.
And definitely Man of Steel has that element in it too. So, and because this is, I guess, technically the sequel to Man of Steel, you got to keep with that. And Man of Steel was darker. So
which Superman shouldn't be dark.
You're right.
I don't want
but Batman versus Superman, it can be dark, and I think that it might actually end up working. Like, just the trailers kind of, it gives me hope that it might work. I never was against Affleck as Batman. I think he can definitely pull it off. But
it gives me hope that the Batman part will be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it gives me hope that the Superman part will be okay after seeing Man of Steel. But I think that it'll kind of, it all seems to be working together from what we've seen in the trailer so far, and we'll have to wait for further iterations to make more informed decisions about the way that it's gone.
But overall, though, it just doesn't have me hyped the way the Star Wars trailer does.
Well, it's Star Wars.
Well, no, but like here, I feel
but
like...
you really should be, like, hurting yourself when you watch the Batman Superman.
I should be really, fanboy geeking
wow.
out. Because Batman Superman has a blank slate, basically. First time we've seen the two characters on screen together, live action, not counting the cartoons. Not that they aren't worth counting, but just live.
The animated shows are really good.
The animated shows are awesome.
Really good.
But they're starting with a blank slate here of expectations that can be built up.
Right.
I would say that Star Wars
crashed.
I would actually say that
smashed like your dreams.
Star Wars is starting from farther behind because they're starting with everybody, well, within the past 20 years, remembering the prequels and how those were.
Right.
So I feel like Star Wars had a lot more to deliver on in its trailer than Batman did. Like, Batman and Superman already had, like, Batman and Superman, for crying out loud.
Right.
Whereas Star Wars had, like, oh yeah, we remember Star Wars, Jar Jar Binks, ha ha ha.
I like this movie.
Yeah, really. I would say, like, the Star Wars trailer hit the ground running and boom, I'm ready, I'm there, I'm lining up to buy tickets. Mm-hmm. Batman vs. Superman has me not geeking out the same way. I was hoping to at least see one shot of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
At least the back of his bald head or something,
right.
you know? But
well, yeah, and I see where you're coming from. Like,
or at the very least, Batman saying "Justice" just once. You know?
I've actually seen trailers for the animated films that they put out. There's been a couple of animated films, at least 2, 3 that I know of. Animated films with Batman and Superman in them.
More than that at this point, but yeah, that looked good.
But those are, like, I've seen the trailer. I watched the trailer for it, and I went, "Oh man, I gotta watch that."
Yeah. And
I didn't get quite that feeling from it. I got I gotta watch that. I got I'm gonna watch that. Well, it's not the gotta, it's the gonna. You know? Yeah. Like, it's not I gotta watch that, it's I'm gonna watch that.
I'm gonna watch that. I kind of like that head nod to yourself, like, I'm gonna watch it. Like,
I'm gonna watch that. I think it'll probably be pretty good. But not that, ooh, I really gotta run out and watch that opening night.
Or you're saying, hey, what'd you think of that trailer? Lunchbox? Lunchbox? You hear the car tires screeching in the driveway as he runs down to the nearest theater to buy tickets that aren't ready yet. Yeah.
Do you have tickets for Batman vs. Superman yet? Like, no, it doesn't come out till next year. What? What?
Yeah, I'm not getting that kind of feel. I'm getting that feel from the Star Wars trailer.
Yeah, Star Wars trailer. I've lined up every day, and they still don't have tickets yet.
Yeah, really. They keep telling me, go home. They're not here. Why are you here?
They recognize me as I drive up. Like, nope, not yet. I'm like,
if you know you've been there too much, when the manager himself walks up and says, go home.
Yeah.
They're not ready. They're not here. No lining up.
It's like, but you don't have the stanchions up yet, so I can line up.
Yeah.
One day soon. One day soon we can start lining up.
Yes, I'm ready for that. All right, it's time for Thank God for Video, where we recommend something to you that you should watch, pick up either on video streaming, Blu-ray, Laserdisc, Betamax, whatever you're...
That may be the only way you can get some of these.
Yeah, really. Thank goodness they're out there somewhere in some form. You can rush down to your local, I don't know, Best Buy. Oh.
Blockbuster.
Oh. Well, maybe not. Best Buy's still around. Best Buy's still around.
There are, sir. Yes.
I've been in one before. It's like a tomb. So they aren't going to be around much longer. No. Anywho, thank God for video.
Circuit City.
No. Federated. Oh. Okay. This week, I'm going to recommend something. I'm going to go a little Lunchbox style here and say I can't find this anywhere other than YouTube. It's the Men in Black cartoon that came out in the 90s.
They made a Men in Black cartoon?
They made a Men in Black cartoon. It went on for 4 seasons. The fourth season is...
4 seasons?
4 seasons. The fourth season is not that good because they tried to do something kind of different with... like, it went from the original formula of you'd have L, K, and J in the original cartoon.
Right.
Original, quote-unquote. They decided, for whatever reason, that they needed to add in a wacky alien scientist and have L get partnered up with an alien who was very, like, not just straight-laced by the book, but very kind of a grump character. Right. And it was bad, and I think maybe they knew early on that it wasn't going to work because there's, like, an arc in the 4th season that makes it clear that they're wrapping up the series, which... High note, actually, they actually do wrap up the series, but
really, you hardly ever see that happen.
Hardly in a cartoon,
especially in a cartoon
where they actually like say, "Okay, we're wrapping it up and giving it a finale," rather than just
like
it's
a
over.
Finale in a cartoon.
A finale in a cartoon, yes. But I'm how do I say it? It was really well animated. I think it's worth watching the intro. If you're not interested in the show itself, the intro is very crisply and cleanly animated. It has this really great music to it that it sort of captures tonally what you expect from the series. And I can't go off enough about the animation for it because it's so well done, and because the voice actors and the writing for the cartoon are done pretty darn close to the movie. They kept it very much in tone of not just the movie, but I think the comic that it was based on. So, okay, just to like give you the brief rundown here, you've got Agent K, Agent J. They're going around Manhattan, wrapping up various mysteries that involve aliens. Like, what are they trying to do? Like, they're trying to take over the world. Are they trying to convert our atmosphere to what they need to breathe, or climate to what they need, or is it this one alien sucking the life out of people for what reason and why? And it's interesting because each story isn't just like the big evil alien doing evil things, but they have episodes there in the first season where they have an alien that's actually got some sort of psychotic disorder where he freaks out that people are trying to steal his soul every time he gets a picture taken, or another one where the aliens are trying to take over the world to change our climate, but then you have one who defects because he's fallen in love with a human. And it's neat that they've captured these, I don't know, these kind of, I don't want to say expansive, but more like almost movie-type plots, and shrunk them down to like that 23-minute kind of block that an animated show would be with commercials. And
like 22 and a half.
22 and a half minutes. But the voice acting's great. You've got Zed is not I say like just semi-rambly here because it's hard to know where to go with. You've got like a series that goes along and it's just a bunch of mini vignettes, but they have recurring themes in it. They have the same kind of dry humor. They don't go too over the top. They don't oversell, oh, we're a cartoon and gonna do wacky things. Like the stuff that happens to the character Jay is stuff that you would expect to have happened to him in the film with all the CG and such. They don't do anything that makes you think, yeah, but they only can do that in a cartoon.
It's Ghostbusters, not the real Ghostbusters.
It's Ghostbusters.
No, it's the real Ghostbusters.
It's
not
the
Ghostbusters.
real Ghostbusters. Yeah, I was gonna say you said that wrong.
It's the other way. It's the other way around.
The real
Strike that. Reverse it.
The real Ghostbusters cartoon. It's very much in that vein, where you're like, okay, they aren't going so over the top cartoony with this that it's like he jumps off the second story of something and makes a crater in his own body shape and he's fine.
Yeah.
He's, he falls off of a building at one point, but Kay zooms down using jet boots and grabs him and makes some wry comment about, like, oh, I had standard issue, MIB jet boots. He's like, how come I don't have them? It's like, well, Zed likes me better. And it's funny, it's quick, and the pacing's great. Fourth season kind of falls off, but as I said before, the fourth season wraps up this ongoing kind of arc / reoccurring character where they have a bad guy named Alpha, who is one of the original MIBs, because you've got Zed running the joint now, so naturally there has to be an Alpha, which makes sense. And he's Kay's mentor,
of course,
basically. But the end of the last season, they have an ongoing arc with this villain reoccurring rather than just showing up once a season. He keeps popping up in the fourth season, kind of hinting at this overall plot and the way that certain events in the past have been connected. And, well, they did have these kind of goofy scientist sidekick thing happening, and they had this kind of, for whatever reason, decided to put Elle, who in the cartoon in the previous seasons is basically their lab tech person. They're Q, basically.
Okay.
She goes out into the field with, like, she's trying to live it up, and he's the street man, and it's just why. Overall, it's a good series. You can only find it on YouTube. A few years ago, when the third Men in Black movie came out, Target did this very limited release of the first season on DVD, and it was a very bare bones DVD. It's like, okay, here's a clip art picture of the cartoon characters and your scene selection or play all.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks because it was a good cartoon. And yeah, it went on for 4 seasons. And in an age where you have cartoons and TV shows from decades past come out all together with commentary and whatnot, it's a real shame that this, like, you can find season 1 if you, like, look on eBay or Amazon and get scalped by, like, 30 or 40 bucks.
Yeah.
Or you can, normally I wouldn't say this, but the studio hasn't released it, so I'd say go out on YouTube and check it out. Yeah, the transition, and some people have uploaded various copies of theirs of it. So you want to find yourself one where the sound is synced well.
Yeah.
But it's worth a look. It's worth your time. Check it out on YouTube. Find it out there. Because, yeah, you've got Lunchbox saying it went on for 4 years. I've never heard of this thing. Like, no, it was good. I've rambled enough. But what do you got for Thank God for You? Or do you have any thoughts? Or are you just going to check it out?
Well, yeah, definitely. It sold me. I'm definitely going to check it out. And, yeah, it is kind of sad that, in these days of, like, you could have a Blu-ray edition with, like, all 3 films with a special edition, a special, like, 4th disc that has all of the Men in Black TV animated series and, some extras, like, behind-the-scenes stuff, like your special 4th disc that has everything, like all the extras on it. Why not do that? Like, would not sell 1 billion copies? I mean, come on. Like, you could have the super
Amazon
special edition.
That's the thing too. I looked, you can't even find it, like, to purchase on streaming, which is weird because you could just, like, how hard is that for them to say, okay,
like,
here's the master copies?
Yeah, it's like I still can't find, like, a whole bunch of Danny Kaye movies, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just put them on Netflix? How hard is that?
Yeah.
To just, like, have them available on Netflix for somebody that wants to watch it. And granted, there's not a lot of people that are going to watch that, but, so you get 10 cents if they make 10 minutes in. Like, fine. That's more than you're making right now off of it. Like, all of these old movies, there should be a place for that where you can watch those. And, somebody needs to do the classic film archive where you can watch all of the classic films, and, you know, even if I have to pay $10 a month, if I can watch any of those classic movies, all of the MGM classic movies that I want to watch, have MGM put it out. You know, have Warner Brothers do their own. I'll pay $10 each if they have all of the classic movies. If they have, you know, the TV series that we always want to watch. Like, if you want to watch Dobie Gillis, you can watch that. Like, any of those.
Yeah.
Like, why they don't just put them up streaming? It costs them virtually nothing to put them up streaming and just let them be available. You know? And you make your 10 cents off of each person that watches it. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know? And, yeah, it drives me crazy that anything in this day and age isn't available. And right now, somebody else is making money off of your intellectual property by popping it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because you could be making that money.
You could be making that money here. And it's weird. A couple of side notes. One of them out there is also in the first season had a different voice actor for Kay. A guy named Edo Ross. And I kind of prefer his voice to Greg Berger, who did the later seasons. But it's still pretty good. Jack Jeeves, for the first, I want to say, half of the first season, is played by Tony Shalhoub. So he actually came back and reprised the Jeeves pawn shop thing. And it's after the first half of the first season, it's voiced by Billy West, and Billy West is good. He does a good imitation of him. You can kind of tell the difference between the two, but it's still neat.
But it's Billy West.
It's Billy
West. Come on.
And one that actually surprised me was they had several cameos, quote unquote. They had several reoccurrence of bug aliens throughout the series, and each time that was done, Vincent D'Onofrio came back and voiced those. Kingpin. Yesterday's bug is today's Kingpin. But yeah, Vince D'Onofrio came back and he played the bug anytime they did bug things, which I thought was kind of cool.
That was pretty cool.
Wow, okay, so he
enjoyed doing this. More.
Yeah. But it's worth a look. And yes, Lunchbox is absolutely right. There's no reason why. I'm looking it up here real quick. Amblin Entertainment and Columbia TriStar, are they still around? Yeah, and Sony Pictures. That's what Sony as well. Why aren't you guys making your own money on this? I would have owned these. I don't want to have crummy, somewhat unsynced audio for these cartoons because they're great. Anyway.
Yeah, put it out.
All right.
Anyway,
Thank God for video.
Thank God for video is actually kind of an odd one. See, I was working at a major video rental chain in the late 2000. Okay, I was working at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I don't know why people do that. I was working at Blockbuster.
At that point, Blockbuster had squeezed out the competition before eventually becoming squeezed out of the business themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was working at Blockbuster. I had one of my good friends at Blockbuster who I seldom agreed with movies on was Steph.
Right.
And so we ended up both watching a movie called Cold Souls. And we both loved the movie. Thought it was incredibly good. And that's really kind of a rare thing for me when I watch a movie that has like such a really like a deep like meaning to it and such incredible performances. Like, it's really hard. Like, most people just don't get it on the same level that I do of like, yes, but the performances of like how like it was so deep, and like, did you see the way that he was playing this? And most people just go, no, it was boring, and no, I didn't enjoy it. But on this one occasion in 2009, 2010, somewhere around there, we both ended up watching this movie, and Steph loved it too. And he agreed with me that it was one of the best movies that he had seen all year. Wait, no. He said it was one of the best comedies he'd seen all year. He thought it was hilarious. He laughed from beginning to end, and I thought that it was one of the deepest dramas that I'd seen all year. Now, granted, there's some funny moments in the movie, but he thought that it was just incredibly funny, and I thought that it was incredibly dramatic, and we both recommended it as many times as we possibly could. Like, I read Ebert's review of it. Roger Ebert came out with a review of it at the time, and he said that it was incredibly deep and beautiful satire. So he kind of appreciated it on both levels, which I guess he kind of got both ends of it. Like, I didn't get that. Like, I thought there was certainly some funny parts of it, but it is so like deep and moving. But anyway, to kind of get to what it's actually about, Paul Giamatti is the main character in it, and he plays against type in it. He plays an actor named Paul Giamatti. And he's preparing and trying to play the title character in Chekhov's play, Uncle Vanya.
Okay.
Which incredibly deep play, really many levels to it. The director is not liking the way that he's playing the movie, and playing the play, being the character. He doesn't like his portrayal, and he keeps trying and working on it, and he can't get it right. And so he ends up deciding, like, reading through some newspaper or magazine or something, he hears about how you can put your soul into cold storage. And so he ends up, like, looks through the yellow pages, finds the guy who can put your soul in cold storage, and puts 95% of his soul into cold storage. Because you got to save a little bit, otherwise you're not animated.
Yeah,
so he puts most of his soul into cold storage and goes back and tries to play it again. And it still's not working for him. He ends up getting somebody else's soul to try and help him through it, which works, but then he gets freaked out by it and tries to get his own soul back, and he has trouble getting his original soul back because apparently now it's in Russia.
This is where the comedy part comes.
Yes, hilarity ensues. It's really like the incredible way that Paul Giamatti plays it, and at each level, because he plays it originally as basically himself, like he's an actor, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Basically playing himself, and then he plays himself with no soul, which is a little disturbing to watch. Actually, is like, how do you, like, a guy with no soul, and how would he react to things? And he totally does it totally believably. Like, you definitely go, wow, that guy is just
soulless inside, literally.
Like he's totally dead inside. He has nothing inside of him. And then he gets somebody else's soul to help him try and play the part, and it's kind of him, but not him. Like, you can kind of see that in the way that he plays it, and he plays it totally different in that way. And really just acknowledge the, amazing depths that Paul Giamatti can do, and the ways that he can play different things is just incredible to me. But also, really incredible story, and written and directed by, Sophie Barthes? I think it is. I think it's Barthes, okay. Maybe Barthez. I really don't know because I haven't heard her name before or since.
Oh.
But she really hasn't ever done anything else. But she kind of had this vision, the idea of, like, Woody Allen's soul kind of sewn up in, like, this little thing. And I won't give away too much about, like, the dream that she had. But she originally had Woody Allen pegged for it, who I don't think could have played it nearly as well as Paul Giamatti does. But it really is a totally, like, really, really great film. Like, total 3 stars from Ebert. Like, one of my favorite movies, one of Steph's favorite movies. We've recommended it to everyone. Whether you think it's a comedy or think it's a tragedy, you should definitely watch it, because it succeeds on every level, no matter how you decide to take it. It is just really, really good movie.
And this is, I assume, actually one that you can go and rent or stream or whatever. Well, maybe not rent.
Yeah, you can. It is fully available. You can rent it on Amazon if you decide to watch it, which you definitely should, because it is really, really good.
Okay, and I would have to assume, especially with him in the title role there, Paul Giamatti.
As Paul Giamatti
is again what sells it. You know. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, they say not every film is an ensemble cast or has 2 or 3 people that are trying to sell. Well, I don't want to say sell, but they're trying to basically carry the weight of the movie. And it's always interesting when you have these films that, well, a little bit of it is the how do I say, life story almost of this person. I mean, not life story, but you need that actor. Like, maybe they could have gotten somebody else, but not called him Paul Giamatti and have whatever. But
and you could have had John Malkovich as John Malkovich.
But yeah,
like you could have pretty much put an actor, a reasonably famous actor in there. But I don't think they would have played it like Paul Giamatti. And really, the movie, even though you do have David Strathairn in there as the guy who puts his soul into storage and is very funny in there. One of the more funny moments is in the movie is their interaction when he's first deciding whether or not he's actually going to go through with it and put his soul into cold storage. There are some funny moments in there, but really it's the depth of Giamatti's performance there that really makes it really makes the movie for me.
Yeah. Would you say tour de force, or is that just a little bit over the, maybe not over the top-ishness?
That is, I mean, well, I've seen enough of Giamatti's work that, like, to say that it's the tour de force, it may be a little going far, but it's definitely, I'm going to go with his best role. Okay. I think better than John Adams. And he was really, nailed John Adams.
I was going to say, like, and he was great.
Yeah. Like, he's a really, and he's done so many great roles, and, and everybody loved him in Sideways, and everybody loved him in, well, pretty much everything that he's done. I was going to say,
he's another one of those, I don't want to go so far as to say because Paul Giamatti, but he is one of those kind of character actors that, like, I think gets far too little credit, that you always see him as, like, the side kind of guy.
Yeah, like he's not really the main character, and
he's not the main
just
character
like
or the main actor,
the best part of whatever you're watching.
Yeah, You're like, well,
wow,
at least that guy was good in it. And you're like, his name is Paul Giamatti, or that was Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah,
or that was J.K. Simmons.
Like, no, maybe the rest of the movie wasn't good, but it was less good around that guy. Yeah. And really, like, him, like, Paul Giamatti as Paul Giamatti is just, it's really, like, there are a few movies where I go, wow, that is exactly perfect. Of, like, you really totally believe it. And happens far less than I would like it to happen. But I just totally sucked in. Loved every second of it, and Paul Giamatti's performance just really, really kills it.
Yeah. So you have it. I recommend the Men in Black cartoon series, available at your local YouTube store. And Lunchbox is recommending Cold Souls. Sorry, Cold Souls.
He puts the coals in cold, so I think it's
Cold Souls. I'm sorry about that. Lunchbox recommends Cold Souls, starring Paul Giamatti, where he puts his soul into cold storage.
Yeah.
And it actually sounds
hilarity
pretty compelling.
Ensues.
Hilarity ensues. Well, or compellingness ensues.
Yes.
But be sure to go check those out. Alright, now we're going to move on to movies that needed a rewrite. These aren't necessarily shows that are always horrible, although sometimes we cover that and tell you how we would strip them down from top to bottom and make them better. But for the most part, these are ones that just have those little flaws that just didn't make them quite what we wanted them to be, and, well, how we would give them that good little tweak and rewrite to make them better and make them actually flow more smoothly. And to kick us off, Lunchbox here has got...
Gone in 60 Seconds.
No, which one?
No, not the 1974 H.B. Heliki movie.
Okay. You're talking about a Nick Cage vehicle, so to speak.
I would never, yes. Exactly.
Puns! Anyway. All right, yes.
But yes, no, not the 74 version, because that's a classic, and I would never disparage that one. Like, the chase scene at the end, definitely, like, I mean, one of the better ones. And that's why they decided to remake it.
With newer cars, faster cars.
Newer cars, faster cars. You got the Shelby GT500. Hey, let's replace the Mustang with the Shelby. And hey, we've got, a great idea for a brand new movie. Well, yeah.
Yeah? Ish?
Yeah, and I think this movie didn't get the love it deserved.
Yeah.
I really thought that it was actually a pretty decent movie. It's fun. They actually got Halicki back to actually co-wrote.
Oh, really?
The remake. So, actually, the dialogue and everything really works. I think that it actually, the storyline and everything, actually good. They got a lot of funny lines in it, and it's a lot similar to kind of our Fast and Furious franchise that we've got going now. It's very similar to. I think that the biggest problem with the movie...
This is going to be the flying car. No.
Is Angelina Jolie's hair. You really... No. The blonde, it doesn't work. I know Marlene Stewart did the costume direction. She's done many other great movies. She did Terminator 2, Oblivion...
so
she actually
the dreadlock thing.
Yeah, the dreadlock, the white, the white hair dreadlock thing. Marlene Stewart even won an award from the costume designers in 2012, a Lifetime Achievement Award, and this one just doesn't work. I don't know if it was her idea. I mean, clearly she knows what she's doing. She's done plenty of other good stuff. It's just, she looks dirty. And Angelina Jolie is supposed to be like kind of the femme fatale, the kind of girl who kind of works on cars, but she's the sexy girl, which we've seen done well in so many other things.
Yeah.
But it just... And yeah, okay, so...
She looked too grunge hippie-ish.
Yeah, too grunge hippie-ish.
Grunge thing.
She was... Yeah. Grunge thing. But she was supposed to be the sexy one, and just that hair just not sexy. But really, I don't think that's why it didn't work. Like, that part of it, why it didn't work is because of that. But I think that a large part of the reason why it didn't work is because they had Dominic Sena direct it. And Dominic, best known for... Well, he did California with a K with Brad Pitt, which nobody saw and even fewer people liked. Season of the Witch, which is probably where he got to know Nick Cage, which even fewer people saw and even fewer people liked. And, of course, Swordfish, starring Halle Berry's boobs. But...
And John Travolta's phenomenal wig.
Yes, it was a phenomenal wig.
Yes.
Which I kind of like Swordfish. I own that one.
I like Swordfish. Phenomenal beginning, actually, too.
Yes, it's a good beginning. But really not the guy that you want to go to for the big car chase scenes.
Yeah.
He started out as a music video director, which, on its face, sounds good. Because if you get a music video director, that you kind of think that they know how to put things together. You have Mick G, Joseph McGinty Nickel, who actually started out directing videos for Korn and Offspring, actually directed the Pretty Fly for a White Guy video for Offspring. Or Spike Jonze, who directed the Sabotage video, which is probably one of my favorite videos for the Beastie Boys, which was great, and went on to direct Being John Malkovich, and most recently Her, which won a number of awards.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, if you want to get somebody, like, used to do music videos. There are people out there that know how to do action, like the Sabotage video. Hey, how about we get Spike Jonze? Like, maybe he knows how to direct a car chase. But I think that it just wasn't put together well enough. I think that we've seen how to put together, before and since, how to put together a great car chase, and I don't think that they did it. I don't think that Dominic Sena, I don't know if he didn't have the sensibility to know how to do it, but we've seen, like, he had Bullet to work with. Like, that was, like, 20 years earlier. Easy. It was 1970-something. They came out with Bullet, and you had Bullet and On. You know, heck, you could have gone back to Death Race 2000 and seen better car chases. You know, it just was, It was cut too quick. It was cut in all the wrong ways. I think it was Dominic Sena that sunk that. And I think that the biggest problem with that is, yes, the flying car at the end. Because that shot, and I just rewatched it just to make sure I wasn't, like, totally out of my mind. But you totally could have done that exact shot. You could have done that practical. There is no reason that could not have been a practical stunt, and I don't know if they actually did.
Yeah,
they may have actually done that as a practical stunt, but the way they cut it, it looks like a CG car flying over CG people, and everything up to then looks real.
Yes.
Like they actually did real stunts, or at least it seems like they did. It looks all real up to then, and then you just have crazy, weird, like, Nick Cage in front of a green screen for the flying car, and they could have done the long shot of the Shelby flying over all the cars and doing that exact same thing over the cars, and it all would have worked. It's the unbelievability, because it's just the green screen Nick Cage in front of, like, flying in front of, like, Long Beach.
Gotcha.
You know?
So you could buy everything else up to that point. There's enough suspension disbelief that it's not like, okay, it's totally out of bounds that somebody's going to go off and pull off this humongous heist.
Right, like, even, like, knocking over
off cars.
Yeah, knocking over the gas canister, and it flies around and takes out, like, 20 different cop cars. I'm with you. I'm good, because it all looks like it's actually happening practical. Are you good? Are you sure, man? Because you just went through a wall. Yeah. You know? It's all that, and it's all, even if it's actually not, looks like practical things that are happening on screen. Yeah. And even if they actually did that big stunt at the end, it doesn't look like they did.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like Nick Cage in front of a green screen, and I blame Dominic Sena for not being able to have Gone in 61 seconds. Because they could have totally made a franchise out of that. How much would you have loved to see? You've got Nick Cage.
They had a great ensemble
You've
cast.
got, Angelina Jolie, Delroy Lindo, Robert Duvall, of course, Scotty Conn, and of course Doctor Who is the villain in that movie.
Yes, but I was going to say, Chris Eccleston aside, you've got a good point there. It was a good ensemble cast. There's no reason why we shouldn't have had as many spin-off franchises as we've had Fast and Furious spin-off, or not spin-offs, but sequels, I should say. Yeah. Because the setting was clearly there. I'm not sure if they were thinking franchise at the time, though.
Well, they may not have been, but seriously, they definitely would have if it would have been bigger.
If it would have been bigger.
And definitely,
it's got anything.
Yeah, well, it did okay.
It did okay at the box office.
I think that if they would have been thinking franchise, they probably would have done it.
Yeah.
Still, with how well it did, but I don't think that they were thinking that, and that's why they didn't try and do another one. But it didn't do well enough that they went, oh, wow, we've got to do this.
Well, there's a sequel coming out to this.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think that it was, everybody went, oh, that was pleasant. Yeah. And I think that that's Dominic Sena's fault. I think that he didn't direct it well enough and didn't demand that last car jump be done practical, and it had to be.
Okay, well,
and you need to clean up Angelina Jolie a little bit.
And
I know people some people kind of dig the dirty, but I just really didn't work for me. I can see what you mean
because that was just like I thought you were joking at first, but actually, yeah, looking back on it, it does look a little bit too grungy, dirty. Like your sexy woman is not sexy enough.
Yeah, and she's supposed to be the sexy one in the movie.
Yeah, and if you're a big blockbuster stunt, if you're cutting it, because I do remember that's the other problem is that there's multiple cuts during the car jump scene. So you're like, it's not that the action's confused, but if they did do like this one spectacular jump, all impractical, they lost whatever awe you could have had of it. Kind of like the same way a lot of more modern action movies seem to lose the, like, that looks cool because you're watching a pulled back shot of a fight scene.
Yeah.
You're putting in so many cuts that you're missing what I came for. Like if you have two people wailing on each other doing kung fu, it looks so much better if you've got like 2 minutes of just sitting there watching them fight on screen rather than like punch, cut to the other guy, punch, cut to the other guy, uppercut, punch, cut, cut.
So you never see a punch land or anything like that. Yeah, like that's I hate the fight scene. It's like
Bourne Identity, which at the time it was the first kind of film to do that, which is why I think it won the editing award. With the first or second one won. Like an Academy Award for film editing, but that was because it was different and inventive, and now everybody does way too many cuts. I was thinking the other reason it might not have franchised out is because that was sort of the tail end of. Well, it was a remake for one.
Well, yeah.
It was
a remake of an incredible movie. Of an
incredible movie, but I don't think as many people were thinking.
But I don't think very many people knew that. I don't think many people had seen the 74 version. I don't think like enough people knew that it was a remake.
Yeah.
And it's enough different from the original one that you can kind of go, okay, well, it's kind of the same idea, but it's, there were 48 cars in the original, there's 50 in this one. It's enough different.
Yeah. But, but that came out like, I don't know when that came out. I'm forgetting.
2000.
2000, I was going to say. That came out right at the cusp of when movies started. There's always the joke about Hollywood running out of ideas, but I think there's been in the past 10, 12 years, you've got kind of sequel mania going on where there doesn't seem to be. So at the time Gone in 60 Seconds came out, maybe the reason we don't see Gone in 61 Seconds is because people weren't quite as thinking, and now how do we make a second one for less money and more money, and get more money back.
Get more money back and make for less.
I'm sure at this point in Nick Cage's career he'd be happily do Gone in 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many you want him in. But yeah.
Yeah, as long as we get Doctor Who back. well, I don't think he can after that one.
You never know.
We may have to do a prequel.
He could wake up in a hospital somewhere.
Yeah, he can always do that. We didn't actually see his dead body, so.
Yeah, no, that's all. That's
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Hey, if you haven't seen it, then we gave away the whole damn movie.
15 years old at this point. I'm sorry. You had your chance. Yeah, I don't know if there's much spoil. Well, we could still do that in the future. Be more spoiler alert heavy if there's some big plot point.
No, if it's 15 years old and I spoil it, then you deserve that.
Okay. Well,
especially if it's something I'm rewriting.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that leaves it to me for my rewrite then.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I was talking about the Men in Black cartoon before, I wanted to talk about Men in Black cartoon before I wanted to talk about Men in Black 2. And I didn't dislike the movie horribly. It did not do well when it came out, but it was still kind of fun. Maybe I enjoyed it more because I saw it for free. And that was theater days. Maybe I would have been more.
It's called damning with faint praise.
Well, no, I don't know. I half wonder if there's some movies that I would have been more annoyed at if I would have had to have spent my own money to go see it.
Right.
Than like, oh, I got to see that one. Yeah, well, I got to see it for free.
Actually paid to watch Prince of Persia? Really?
I liked Prince of Persia.
No, it's awful.
See, there was a disagreement there. But anyway, Men in Black 2 had some good things working for it, but other things are just such misfires. Like, okay, they go back and they get Kay, or Tommy Lee Jones' character, because they need him to solve the current, sci-fi alien mystery. So Jay goes back and he finds him, and here's something that get from the things we never wanted to see happen kind of universe of writing, which is okay, what happens is he goes back and he finds K. Like, Jay goes looking for K because they need him to solve some sort of sci-fi alien mystery. And when they find him, he's working in a post office, being this very snappy, like, boom, 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 I'm rounding off 100 things, cordon off this area and whatnot, doing the same kind of rapid-fire spiel that he was doing in the first movie. And that works great. Having him be a postman works great. What doesn't work for me is that he's divorced. I would rather that his wife, that he got reunited with at the end of the first movie, be dead. I know that sounds horrible. If you want to bring...
you want to kill his wife?
If you can't have him be with her because you either couldn't get the actress or you realize that it would just be too sad to part him from her after that, or maybe have him even be the first married MIB agent in history or something, rather than be like these people who work together and they're just kind of like apart from the system and everything in the world. It would almost be better to have her have been passed away from cancer, or have him be like still married to her, but like now he's
cancer. You want to have her have long, slow death now. You really want to kill her, don't you?
No, just off screen.
Oh, okay.
But having him,
well, then it's okay.
Having him come back and have her divorce him is as annoying to me as Jurassic Park 3 having this shot of Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler, and they're at this home, and there's this little boy, and you think it's theirs, but no, it turns out they didn't get married, and she married somebody else, even though they have this fantastic chemistry together. It just bonks you right out of the movie, It's just I didn't want to... It's like, that's not the character direction I wanted to see. That wasn't what was happening in the movie. I know in the books that's not the way it happens, that in Jurassic Park, they aren't romantically linked. But anyway, with Men in Black 2... Well, that's one of the bigger things is that Kay is divorced from this woman who he clearly had feelings for, and it's sort of like the impetus for why he was on this road alone at night and why he had flowers and was an ambassador to the aliens during their first landing. So, like, right off the bat, you've made it so a big chunk of who his character is sort of lost in, like, at a quick throwaway line, and that's why she divorced you, Kay. That's just what a waste there. That's just like, I'm trying to get this out of the way quickly, and okay, they're divorced now. Boom.
Yeah.
Stupid move in my opinion. And that's the beginning of some of the problems I have with it. Just a quick couple of rapid fire things aside from the character changishness of Kay would be there was too much use of Frank the Pug. I get like, haha, we have a lot of chance for kind of dog jokes and puns here, which they even do.
Plenty of those. I love a dog pun.
I love a dog pun too, but they kind of overused it. And I didn't feel that they used the worm guys enough.
I wanted to see more worm guys.
I wanted to see more worm guys, and I go back to the cartoon, because in the cartoon, they actually had a lot of the worm guys, and them being like overly... In the cartoon, the worm guys are overly obsessed. They never leave the gag is... They never leave the break room where the coffee is, because they're obsessed with coffee. That's all they do, is they hang around, they go looking for more coffee, they're kind of the comic relief. But not to the point of ad nauseam.
They should be.
They should be, which they were in the film.
They were in the original film. Yeah.
It's a shame that they had more of the Frank the Pug, who wasn't really a character other than like a side alien in the first film. Yeah. And made him like sort of I don't want to say co-star, but they had more stuff involving him rather than the worm guys, which make more sense because they're right there at MIB quarters.
Right, but they do have the whole scene with them where
he drops her off.
Jay drops her off. Rosario Dawson off at the worm guys, and they make like some lewd jokes about what's going to happen, and it's. I think a little funny in its sense.
I don't know. I feel like they were underused.
But yeah, definitely. I think there's more to be done there. Sure.
Yeah. You've got, and that's another thing, is a little bit of underuse of characters. You've got Johnny Knoxville as this like two-headed sidekick to Lara Flynn Boyle's main villain character.
Yeah.
Both of which Serena, which both were fine, and his character was Scrad and Charlie. Mm-hmm. But his character quite literally disappears in this scene where Jay takes Kate to be re-neuralized, have his memories reawakened. And there you get another great cameo from Tony Shalhoub as Jack Jeebs, the pawn shop guy. Yep. And he's hilarious. He's got this whole like gangsta fake thing going on, trying to fit in, but he pulls it off because Tony Shalhoub is just a funny character actor.
Awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, like after that scene, Johnny Knoxville's character sort of disappears. Like you get a reference to him later on that that he was made an appearance and kidnapped Rosario Dawson's character from the Worm Guy's place, but that's it. And then he's gone. You have nothing else. And instead of like you get a recap or some sort of, I want to say character arc with him, you get guys released from a vault who apparently have past history with both K and J, but you don't know anything about them, so there's no... I hope I'm not stretching by saying emotional involvement in them. You're not interested. Like, you know that they're cannon fodder, basically, once they pop out. Like, you can have a whole bunch of exposition about why they were in jail and why they have grudges against K and J, which is fine and works for, like, the cartoon, but even the cartoon had criminals who broke out, who had pasts with K and J, but they also built up to that moment. This had no build up. You didn't have any connection.
No reason why there might be some
bad blood between them, like other than like they're a criminal and that's the cop that arrested me. And
right. And at least 3 had some reason why he didn't like him.
Yeah, you had motivation there as to why he didn't like why the main villain went after. Like it wasn't just about their foiled plot to take over or consume the Earth. I believe it was the aliens thing, but he was also upset at Kay for having blown off his arm and done all this.
Yeah, and
so there was a revenge thing going on.
There's a whole other thing that Jermaine Clement was trying to revenge, and they kind of played that up, and Andy Warhol for some reason. But yeah, just little things like that. Patrick Warburton makes a good cameo, but a little underused. As he always does.
And Rip Torn, funny, but a little underused. And again, not terrible overall, just like little side character arc things not explained. Like, apparently Rosario Dawson's character Laura was supposed to be able to control the weather. She was actually an alien of some sort, and if she stayed on the planet past midnight on a certain day, apparently she would blow up or something and the whole world would end. I don't know. They didn't make the danger either imminent or showable either, other than like you've got the evil alien trying to kidnap or stop Rosario Dawson's character, and that's about it. Whereas in the first one and the third one, Jay has to go back to the past because if Kay dies, then everything, like the whole world, gets consumed by aliens, and you see that happening before he makes the time jump into the past. In the first one, you see the alien spaceship above there, and they fire a shot across the bow and say, okay, if we don't have the power source before the bug gets it, then we're gonna blow up your planet. Sorry. So you actually have a visible, and this being film, a visual medium, it's nice to actually see that threat rather than just say, oh, this bad thing's gonna happen, bad thing's gonna happen.
No, it rains because you cry.
Yeah, and that's cute whimsy and all, but
it's close enough to maybe kind of explain. It doesn't fully explain.
It doesn't explain.
It really doesn't. It kind of like it. It's a cute line.
It's a cute line,
but it doesn't really explain anything.
No, it does. It doesn't do enough. Like, it rains because you cry because you have like this emotional connection, literally, because of the way blah blah, like sci-fi mumbo jumbo jargon, to explain.
You need Basil exposition to show up and just say, "Yes, you cry. It rains, and if you turn around in a circle, then a tornado will strike New Mexico." It's like kind of
something like that.
Like you need some more exposition. Yeah. That you need the explanation for why we care.
And that's the thing is what happened with the first film and the third film that made it so good is that exposition was there, and it was there in kind of a blunt way, but it was delivered usually by Kay's character, Tommy Lee Jones, and because they had made it so he's this rapid fire snapping off, okay, cordon off this area, he explains it in a style that makes sense for both the character and makes those plot point expositions that could otherwise clunk, like, it's plot exposition, it has to go somewhere. It seemed natural. Like, okay, you got to explain it to the rookie. And that was the other thing is that you needed
that's why Doctor Who always needs a companion, is somebody to explain. What is it, Doctor?
Yeah, you need somebody to explain.
Somebody to explain it to so that the audience can understand what's going on.
And maybe that was part of it, is at that point it's supposed to be that J is no longer quite the rookie and K has, like, he's got his memories reinvigorated or whatever. So maybe they... I know that... excuse me, I can't remember her name all of a sudden. The lady from the first one. They wrote her character out of it too, and apparently it's because she was difficult to work with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember hearing something about her being difficult to work with on set, and that's kind of part of the reason why they didn't want her in the sequel. Which is a shame, because in the cartoon, it's like
because you couldn't have anybody in the cartoon.
You could have anybody in the cartoon. They have her character.
Or just have Billy West do their voice, and everything's fine.
Yeah, phenomenal range. Anyway, that's mine. Again, not a movie that I found terrible. It's on my shelf. But when I want to watch a Men in Black movie, I either watch the first one or the third one. Okay. For those of you out there who have not seen the second one or the third one, consider this your official spoiler warning, okay?
Okay.
You've seen the third one as well?
I've seen them. I haven't seen the animated series, but I've seen the movies.
That was your fair warning. The payoff in 1, 2, 3. Okay, the end of all of the Men in Black movies have this cool little, like, reveal of something larger. Like, at the end of the other one, there's a Marvel game being played with the entire galaxy, kind of as a riff off of the original one there.
Yeah.
The second one, however, has this sort of, like, reference back to aliens that were found in a locker, and it turns out our whole world is inside of a locker too. But it didn't feel as funny. It felt a little disjointed. It was basically a one-off gag off of the rest of the movie, or some small segment from the rest of the movie. The third one had something that tied in beautifully. It was funny, which was the key thing with the first one. Was it was funny. Moment where the alien sitting there in the diner by himself says, like, "Hey, this is my new favorite moment," unless and they do this wide pan out shot to an asteroid headed towards Earth, and it, like, maybe that's as far as I'll go. Actually, keep it a little bit totally spoiling it, but it's funny. I think it has a better tonal connection than the middle one does. So again, like, little tweaks here and there. It wasn't terrible. It had a funny moment with the... what's his name? The director. Where they go into the apartment, they grab the guns. Sonnenfeld, thank you. Barry Sonnenfeld, they go in. There's a line that I have to wonder if Will Smith improvised, where they neuralize him really quick so they don't remember that there's, like, guns hidden in the apartment. And they're like, okay, you love and cherish each other for the rest of your days. And then Jay throws out points to the little girl. She can stay up late if she wants and have all sorts of cookies and candies and junk and whatever. And, closes the door, and that's it. Which is just hilarious. But anyway, that's my movies that needed a rewrite. Any thoughts?
I remember watching the original Men in Black. Just to take it back for a second, I watched the original one. Some of my friends, we went out, opening weekend, as we usually did around that time, and watched it. And I remember, like, I was the only one that loved that stinger at the end. I thought that stinger at the end was beautiful and perfect, and they all went, "That ruined the movie."
Really?
Like, that ruined the movie for me. That was stupid. Why'd they do that? And I'm like, because that's kind of the point of the movie, isn't it? Like, did you not get that from watching? Okay.
There's a whole galaxy there, and
the whole galaxy, and we're a galaxy inside of the galaxy, and the galaxy doesn't even matter. Like, that wasn't that the point of the whole movie? Okay.
And now it's time for Strained Metaphors with Lunchbox.
So, our strained metaphor this week is, of course, from the quote from Tim Burton's Batman, which is probably the quote that is most relevant to your life, which is, of course,
Nice place you've got here. Plenty of space. Why are you
No.
looking at me? Huh? Oh.
No, even I can't strain that metaphor. That okay? Well, maybe if I think about
if you thought about it, you could find a way to make it relevant.
I'm sure I could come up. No, the one I was talking about is I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Exactly. That the idea is that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yes. What? No,
in a way that Batman is not Bruce Wayne.
Mm.
Because Batman is the real Bruce. Is the real
he
Batman.
He is the face.
Batman is the real guy, and Bruce Wayne is when he's faking it.
Yeah.
So like the talk, and there's the whole great scene in The Mask where he's talking about how we all put on these masks.
Yeah.
But oddly, the mask that Batman puts on is when he plays Bruce Wayne. He's not really the face of the company.
No, he's not.
He's not really Bruce Wayne. He's really Batman. And so sometimes in life we kind of put on that face of the company and kind of do that thing of being that person for the benefit of others. We do that a lot, and we do that for many different people and in different ways. But, and definitely it's kind of, you need to do that because you can't make any money if you're not the face of the company.
No.
You've still got to be the head of Wade Enterprises. You've got to be that to people, be all things to all people, as it were. You have to do that, but deep down, you are the Batman. Really, you are Batman underneath. You're just pretending to be Bruce Wayne. And I think it's very interesting that when Batman puts on his mask, he becomes Bruce Wayne. Almost that taking off the mask is the same as putting on a mask. It's almost ironic that putting on the Bruce Wayne mask means taking off his own mask that he wears.
Yeah.
But I think that, while we have to be Bruce Wayne to so many people, we have to be the face of the company, we have to do so many things, you also need to have Alfred or your boy Wonder Robin. You got to talk to Dick Grayson sometimes, and you need Vicky Vale to be there to be able to tell them that you are the Batman. You need to have something beyond that. Of we go to work every day, we go to hang out with people every day, and we put on that face. We put on the Bruce Wayne face of pretending to be something extra, something a little different. But you also need Alfred and Dick Grayson, Vicky Vale even. You need somebody else to be able to be your real self with. You need to not just be that. You need to have somebody in your life that lets you be yourself, that lets you be the Batman. And so when you find somebody that you can confide in, somebody that tells you that you can let out your true self with, and they ask you, what are you?
I'm Batman. Well, thank you for joining us here on the One More Rewrite podcast here from the Big Red Couch. Hope to hear from you or see from you next week. If you like the show or have questions, comments, leave them in the comment section below. And we'll see you next time. Toodaloo.
Yeah.